"Get out of my lake." That's basically what they told me, straight to my face, like I was some intruder wandering where I didn't belong. And the kicker is I was standing on the very ground I dug, engineered, and paid for with my own sweat. You ever feel that burn in your gut when someone rewrites your whole story right in front of you? That was me, bucket of trout feed in one hand, bolt cutters in the other, staring at a 20-something kid in a golf cart telling me, HOA members only. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. My name's Ronald Jarrett. I'm 49, technically retired, though I've worked harder in retirement than most folks do in a lifetime. Used to be with the U.S. Geological Survey, spent decades reading the earth like scripture. When I left, I bought 142 acres of raw Georgia land. Red clay, gullies, a spring that trickled into nothing. People saw snake country and erosion. I saw potential. Took 4 years, a mountain of permits, and close to $600,000. But I built it. A real lake. Engineered dam, spillways, fish ladders, the works. Jared Lake, named it after myself because why the hell not? Legally deeded, mapped, recorded at the county. It was mine. For a while, it was paradise. Quiet mornings casting a line, herons patrolling the shallows, evenings testing water clarity like some ritual. But peace never lasts. About 5 years back, a developer rolled in on the southwestern ridge, slapped the name Lake Vista Heights on his subdivision. Slick guy. Offered me a shoreline agreement, scenic view only, no ownership, no easements. I agreed, signed it, thought I was being neighborly. But developers sell and move on. HOAs, they multiply, one smug board after another, each one thinking they're the sheriff of whatever land they can see out their kitchen window. Fast forward. And now some kid with aviators tells me I can't walk the trail I carved myself. He actually used the word permit. I laughed so hard he blinked like maybe he'd misread his script. Son, I told him, that dam, that shoreline, that water, it's mine. You want jurisdiction? Bring a surveyor and a court order. He stammered about escalating to his HOA president. Be my guest, I said, and walked back to my truck, angry in a way I hadn't been in years. Not hot anger, the cold kind, the kind that sharpens on paperwork and patience. 2 days later, I get a letter, fines, threats, community privileges. Community privileges on my private land. I drove straight to their office, a model home rebranded as headquarters. That's where I met her, Leslie Marshall, HOA president, mid-30s, pantsuit tight as her smile. We're enforcing rules, she said, like she was lecturing a school kid. I laid my permits and deeds on the counter. Lady, this is mine. All of it. You're trespassing on me. Her smile cracked for just a breath. That's when I knew. This wasn't confusion. It was arrogance. They pushed, so I pushed back. I didn't call a lawyer, not yet. I walked to my dam one Saturday morning, coffee in hand, and opened the bypass gate. Slow hiss of water draining, level dropping inch by inch. By Sunday, their docks hung crooked, their boat ramps looked like broken teeth. I posted a notice online, scheduled maintenance, signed property owner. The meltdown on their Facebook page was a symphony. Why is my dock on land? Who's draining our lake? Leslie posted about sabotage. Sabotage. From the man who built it. That here's the twist. While they accused me, I discovered them. Illegal pipes, 3 of them, dumping fertilizer sludge and pesticides straight into my reservoir. I filed with the Environmental Protection Division. Inspectors came, $85,000 in fines landed on their desk. And because of that, the original shoreline agreement was voided. Their view rights? Gone. In one swoop, they'd poisoned my lake and killed their own claim. Poetic, huh? But they weren't done. They sued. Wanted the court to declare Jared Lake a community resource, demanded damages for loss of prestige. I nearly choked on my whiskey when I read that. My lawyer, Stephanie Donovan, tore their argument to pieces. In court, she rolled out my surveys, permits, and the contract in bold letters. Shoreline access revocable at any time. The judge didn't even blink, denied their injunction, ordered them to remove their fake signs. Watching Leslie's face drain as the words were read was better than any fishing trip I've had. And if that was the end, it would have been enough. But no, twist number 2. With water levels dropped, The shoreline revealed every dirty secret they'd tried to hide. Drain pipes, chemical runoff, years of violations. EPA fines piled on. Residents turned on the board. Documents leaked proving they'd lied for years, told homeowners the lake was theirs when they knew it wasn't. The community fractured. Lawsuits flew. Investors pulled out. The developer filed bankruptcy. And then came the headline. Lake Vista HOA disbanded. Just like that, the hydra choked itself. Now, people wave at me again, tentative, like I'm some ghost haunting their weekends. They send letters, apologies, even drawings from kids who missed the turtles. I let nonprofits in for research, keep the place balanced. But as for them? No. They lost their chance the day they nailed that first sign into my tree. I fenced it, registered it as a private ecological preserve. My lake, my rules. Sometimes I walk the ridge at sunset, the wind carrying that quiet across the water, and I think about power, not the kind that comes with titles or boards or glossy letters, but the kind that comes from knowing the ground beneath your feet belongs to you because you bled for it. They tried to steal that. They lost everything instead. And here's the part that lingers. Was I too harsh? Should I have given them access, let the kids swim, the families fish? Or was this justice, clean and undeniable, the consequence of greed? You tell me. Was I right to drain the lake and watch their empires sink? Or did I let my pride carve deeper scars than necessary? Drop your thoughts below. I want to know where you stand on this, because this war between one man and an HOA isn't just about land. It's about lines we all draw, and what happens when someone tries to erase them. A month passed after the HOA collapsed, and I'll be honest, I thought the story had reached its natural end. You know, neighborhood in shambles, docks rotting, residents bickering while I kept walking the shoreline like a quiet victor. But nothing in life stays still, not lakes, not people, and definitely not the kind of neighbors who can't accept defeat. It started small. Anonymous notes tucked under my truck's windshield, little scribbles like selfish or hope you're proud. Childish stuff. Then came the rumors that I'd poisoned the water myself, that I'd bribed inspectors, even that I wasn't the real owner at all. Funny how when folks lose their grip on land, they'll grasp at any story to explain it. One evening, I was tightening bolts on the spillway gate when headlights crept up the ridge road. Out steps a man in a blazer too shiny for country dirt. Introduced himself as Martin Graves, a consultant hired by interested parties. His words, not mine. He pitched it like a peace offering. Said if I reopened the lake, just partially, there could be financial considerations. I laughed right in his face, told him if money was the goal, I'd have sold this land to a timber company a decade ago. He didn't smile. Said things might get messy if I didn't cooperate. That's when I pulled out my phone, snapped his picture, and told him he'd just become part of my documentation archive. He left without shaking hands, tires spitting gravel like a tantrum. Let me back up a sec. While the HOA was gone, not everyone living out there was rotten. A handful of residents came to me quietly, admitted they'd been misled, even helped me gather evidence when the board was still alive. One of them, Dan Mathers, the guy who emailed me earlier, invited me over for dinner. His wife cooked a pot roast. Their daughter, Abby, showed me her turtle sketches. I sat there in their modest dining room thinking, not everyone deserves to pay for Leslie's arrogance. That twist hit me harder than I expected. These weren't just faceless homeowners. They were families stuck between lies and livelihoods. But sympathy has limits. A week later, vandals cut through my new cedar fence. Cameras caught two masked figures hauling bolt cutters, trying to wedge the gate open. Sheriff deputies showed up within the hour, arrested them both. Guess who they were? The HOA's former security guards. The same kids who once told me I needed a permit to walk my own trail. Yeah, that happened. Court gave them probation, but I made sure the footage went public. Suddenly, the local Facebook group wasn't debating lake levels anymore. They were debating whether ex-guards should be charged with felony trespass. My name was everywhere again, painted as either stubborn hero or bitter tyrant. Then came the storm. A real one. Late September, a 3-day downpour that turned the dam into a roaring throat of water. I didn't sleep, just paced with a flashlight, listening to the thunder and checking the pressure gauges. Around 2 a.m., I saw headlights across the ridge, 3 SUVs parked where they had no business being. Figures standing out in the rain, pointing, shouting over the wind. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. They were hoping the storm would do what lawyers and lies couldn't: break my dam, flood the basin, turn ownership into chaos. I stood there soaked, boots sinking in the clay, and whispered, "Not tonight." At dawn, the storm broke, the dam held, and those SUVs were gone. But I knew then, they weren't finished at. So here I am now, months into a war that doesn't seem to end, holding the line against neighbors who can't accept that something isn't theirs. I've turned my lake into an ecological preserve, welcomed scientists, even let school kids tour with supervision, but I keep the gates locked for Lake Vista. And still, whispers crawl back: petition drives, county board meetings, talk of eminent domain. They've lost every round, but persistence is its own weapon, and maybe that's the question I can't shake. How far is too far in defending what's yours? Do you keep draining the lake, fencing the trails, exposing every dirty secret until they have nothing left? Or do you let go, open the gate a crack, and hope trust can grow where lawsuits failed? I built this water with my own hands, but water reflects, it bends light, it shows you yourself. Some days I see a man who stood his ground. Other days, I see someone so busy protecting what's his that he might drown in solitude. So tell me, what would you do? Stand firm until the last sign is pulled and the last rumor dies, or open the shoreline again and risk the same cycle repeating? Because this story isn't finished, not yet. It's a war between one man and an entire mindset, and the ending, well, that might depend on what kind of justice you believe in.